Tonight on the Black Channel. Well, the balloons at the DNC convention aren't even fully deflated yet, and already they're saying that the honeymoon is over. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we are documenting the situation, we are documenting the case, and boy, oh boy, I gotta tell you here. What are they saying here? Fresh off the Democrat convention, just in case you thought everything was all right out there, here is the headline from the New York Times. Joy is not a strategy. Oh boy. Here is the Los Angeles Times. The honeymoon is over. Harris must start making the case for her presidency. Not for the presidency, but her presidency. Yes, indeed. We didn't even make it out 48 good hours before they started saying, hey, she needs to do more. Not going to be handed to her. Yeah, you're riding high off a convention, but the convention is over. I mean, as soon as the convention was over, soon as it was done, they already let her know. It's like, yeah, trouble in paradise. Trouble in paradise already. So it's not going to be easy for you there. Not going to be easy for you there at all. What I want to do for you here first, I want to first go through the LA Times article so you all can hear what it was they had to say. And there are some folks actually who are very, very unhappy about this, by the way. There are some folks who are very, very unhappy about it because they had it in their minds that things were going to go a certain way. And boy, oh boy, would be damned if it absolutely did not go that way at all. And they're not really sure what they're going to do because they had their eggs all in this basket that was going to be an easy ride. And I've told you all from the very beginning, there ain't going to be nothing easy about this. Nobody knows which way things are going to go in this regard. Nobody can call it. The election right now, if you want to know which way it's going to go, whoever makes the most mistakes is who's going to lose this election. Whoever screws up the most. So Harris is waiting for Trump to open mouth, insert foot, which he does on a frequent basis. Trump is waiting for Harris to say anything. If she talks at all, it's just going to be bad. It's just going to be all bad if she talks at all. Let me go ahead and start here. Let me go ahead and start with the New York Times. Joy is not a strategy. Well, you know what? Let's not start with them. Let's start with the LA Times after all. Let me go ahead and start with that. Let me go ahead and get them up on your screen for you here. LA Times, the honeymoon is over. And there's a reason why I want to go through this, because I want you all to listen to what they had to say here. And then we're going to be discussing this more in depth to let you know that they're already like, yeah, we think we're already in trouble. What's the trouble? You're about to find out. In her speech accepting the Democratic presidential nomination Thursday, Vice President Kamala Harris offered a withering indictment of her opponent that could constitute a case for her candidacy. Donald J. Trump, she rightly observed, is in many ways an unserious man, but the consequences of returning him to the White House are extremely serious. She asked her audience to consider the power he will have, especially after the U.S. Supreme Court just ruled that he would be immune from criminal prosecution. Just imagine Donald Trump with no guardrails, and now he would use the immense powers of the presidency of the United States, not to improve your life, not to strengthen our national security, but to serve the only client he has ever had, himself. She introduced herself to voters who might not know her personal history, downtown Willie Brown, and spoke of, quote, a new way forward, not as members of one party or faction, but as Americans. Harris did not focus on the fact that her election would mean elevating to the highest office in the land a woman of Black and Indian descent. What? A milestone for a country with a long history of excluding women and racial minorities from political power. But now that the Democratic National Convention is over, the hard work for Harris begins. She must do more than repeat that Trump is unfit. She needs to make the complete case to the American people that she would do more to improve their lives and livelihoods. She must demonstrate her vision for the country and convince voters that she is prepared to be a president of all Americans. She showed she is capable of the task with her commanding performance that gave the lie to Trump's childish denunciation of Harris as a low IQ individual and conveyed a seriousness that Americans expect in their president. Harris was especially forceful in promising that as commander-in-chief, she would ensure that America has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. In a deserved dig at Trump, she added that I will fulfill our sacred obligation to care for our troops and their families, and I will always honor and never disparage their sacrifice. These folks are laying it on thick. You know that you are in trouble when you got to do it like this. I mean, they're not even trying to be subtle. They're like, yeah, we in trouble. We're going to give her the old heave-ho. Pardon the expression. On the war in Gaza, Harris said that I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself. I'm sure that's going to go over great in Michigan. And I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself. Okay, I guess her husband has let her know what side her bread is buttered on. And she noted that she and President Biden are, quote, working around the clock to secure a ceasefire and the return of hostages. But she also said that, quote, what has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. She didn't say inexcusable, just devastating. We can all see it's devastating. Is it right or wrong? Significantly, she added that she and Biden sought an outcome that would allow the Palestinian people to, quote, realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination. You could always call up Israel and say, hey, stop dropping the bombs. Her remarks may have fallen short of what some anti-war activists would have liked, but they signaled a sensitivity to Palestinian lives that is too rare in Washington. LA Times, you're already vomiting all over yourself. Give it up. You couldn't defend what she said there. So just give it up. You're already flopping and falling all over yourself. That didn't go over very well at all. Yeah, you can't spin that one. The Palestinians don't want sensitivity. And the people supporting Palestine don't want sensitivity. So yeah, you already went ahead and vomited all over yourself on that one. Harris also promised to revive a bipartisan border security bill that Trump sabotaged. It's not a border security bill. They said you can let through 5,000 a day. That's not a border bill. That's the status quo. And to sign a bill to restore reproductive freedom. Folks, is it reproductive freedom if you're killing the baby? Damn! You're stopping reproduction. That's not reproductive freedom, but okay. And reverse the effect of the Supreme Court's ruling on Roe v. Wade. Trump, of course, has boasted that because of his 3 appointments to the court, I was able to kill Roe v. Wade. Finally, Harris promised that building that middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. As this compressed campaign continues, Harris will be pressed to provide additional details about her policies. She also must, and we're confident she will, biased much, hold news conferences and sit down for interviews. She hasn't yet. Did you all see this? She also must, and we're confident that she will, hold news conferences and sit down for interviews that will allow her to limn out her agenda. I think you meant to say line out. But by the way, she hasn't held a single press conference or anything else yet. So think about this. We're confident that she will, but she hasn't done it. She's not doing it today. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Biased much? Folks, the corporate media is a damn joke. I'm not a Kamala Harris supporter nor a Trump supporter. I'm just a rationality and logic supporter. The American corporate media is a damn joke. Not even a funny one. They are a pathetic joke. If they didn't have rich families and corporations behind them, they'd be the National Enquirer with half the reader base. This is pathetic. You can go to journalism school and you can get a job doing this. You can go to journalism school and this is what counts as serious political commentary. You're literally saying that she's held no interviews, but we support her. Great. You haven't even gotten a questioner yet. So you're bragging that she won't talk to you. Vote for our candidate, Kamala Harris. She won't talk to you. What? And they're showing how scared they are. And remember this sign here that she also must hold conferences. We're confident she will. They didn't say the fact that she hasn't yet. She also must, and we're confident she will, but she hasn't. Why don't you say she hasn't sat down for an interview yet, but we're sure at some point she will. You're sure she will? How can you say that? How can you say that? What the hell? That doesn't line up very well. But that's the American media here. So if you want to know why it is that people are going to anyone and everyone to get away from them, that's the reason why. That's the reason why. And they've got enough money to sit up here and do this for a while, but that's going to be an important thing to keep in mind. We're confident that she will hold news conferences and sit down for interviews that will allow her to line out her agenda. A televised debate with Trump on September 10th will also offer her the opportunity to use her prosecutorial persuasion skills to contrast her vision for the country with that of the former president, such as it is. They need to understand here, they're trying to match Trump on being snarky, and y'all aren't running for anything. Here's the problem with the New York, Los Angeles bubble. The problem with New York and Los Angeles is that they think that because they're the number one and number two markets in the country, that they represent the country. They think they represent the rest of the nation. And literally, New York is just this really weird, strange place up in the Northeast that doesn't represent anyone except New York. Now, don't get me wrong. I got some love for some folks up there in New York, but even they'll tell you, New York doesn't represent anyone. Los Angeles represents even fewer. So if you live in those bubbles because New York is a financial capital and LA is an entertainment capital, and you've deceived yourself into believing that either New York City or Los Angeles speak for anyone other than New York City and Los Angeles, that's the problem. You'll go to your cocktail parties, you'll go to your Hollywood premieres, you'll go stand down there on Wall Street, and you will really be deluded into thinking that New York and LA represent America and America wants to be like them. And nothing could be further from the truth, but you might be deluded enough to actually think that. That's the problem. But the challenge posed by Harris's acceptance speech was to present herself to a national audience as a competent and committed leader who, unlike her unsavory opponent, can be trusted with the presidency. By that standard, the speech was a resounding success. So they think they can talk her into the White House. Is what they're doing. We're just going to talk her into it. We're going to talk our way into putting her in the White House. We're going to tell you what you think. Never mind the fact that everybody was sitting up here talking about Barack Obama's speech. Never mind the fact that everyone was talking about him. Never mind that. We're here to tell you what you believe. So that's why they're telling her don't do any interviews and don't talk to anyone, because we know you're too ditzy to be able to not vomit on yourself. So don't say anything, because as soon as you talk, they're going to go after you. Oh, yes, she did say something, didn't she? We're going to have price controls. Oh, what about that border? Well, okay, that changed quick now, didn't it? Now, that's it. There you go, folks. That was it. All they're saying is, we're sure that she will be worth it. We're sure at some point she will be worth it. That was all they got. That was it. But what are they saying? The honeymoon is over. She needs to start making a case for her presidency. So what they're telling her, the one thing that they did sneak in there, that this at near the end of the article now, understand this part here about we're sure that she will sit down at some point and answer some questions. They're saying vote for her with no questions answered. At the end of this article, we're sure at some point she will. That's all they got. That's all they got. She's not answering any questions, but trust us at the LA Times, vote for her anyway. And they already understand it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. That's Los Angeles. On the other side of the country in New York, this is the headline from New York. Joy is not a strategy. And they were even more cynical about this. I'm going to read for you the article here. Don't worry, it's not terribly long. Just like the LA Times, they're already conceding, yeah, baby, you need to do better than this. Subheadline, a good convention speech isn't enough to earn the trust of voters. By Patrick Healy. If the Republican convention's message for America last month had to fit on a bumper sticker, it would read, Trump is God. Delegates deified him relentlessly as the risen Trump after the assassination attempt. They told me over and over that he was spared to save the country with his reelection. Only on the final night did Trump come crashing down to earth with his nomination speech. Divine it was not. What a mistake. The most divisive man in America was suddenly given a measure of goodwill from skeptical voters after he was nearly killed. People were tuning in to see if he'd talk like a changed man. And then he threw it away with the same old rant. All Trump had going for him was Joe Biden's weakness. Flash forward to this week. If the Democratic convention's message for America had to fit on a bumper sticker, it would read, Harris is joy. The word has gone from being a nice descriptor of Democratic energy to being a rhetorical 2x4 thumped on voters' heads. Don't get me wrong. There are many more worse things than joy. But I cringed a little in the convention hall Tuesday night when Bill Clinton said Harris would be the, quote, president of joy. Joy is the new fetch from Mean Girls. Democrats are bent on making the word happen. But joy is not a political strategy. And God is not a political strategy. The good news is for Democrats that Harris seems to understand this. He bases that on what? Americans want her to lower their household costs and make it easier to find housing. She's had 4 years. How's that working out? Being our joyful mamala is not going to win the election. Harris gave a good speech Thursday. Her love for America was overflowing. A child of immigrants' love, as Democratic strategist Harold Wolfson put it to me. Republicans like to tag Democrats as down on America and its history. But it was interesting that when Harris radiated pride, it was not pride as a black woman. What? Or pride as a glass ceiling breaker. Damn! It was pride as an American.
Auntie, chill!
This is the New York Times now. So if you want to know if the fix is in, and if you want to know if they think they found their safe, harmless, non-threatening negress, this is the New York Times. Coming out and saying it now, what we've been saying about her for 5 years. They're coming out and saying it. What we said as soon as we came into contact with her, here they are 5 years later, finally admitting that Now they want to hold it up as, oh, she black and female and Asian and anything else you want to be, an immigrant. But then they said that, by the way, when she irradiated Pride, it was not Pride as a black woman or a ceiling breaker. That's supposed to be female. It was as an American. He goes on to say that she was open, relatable, and repeatedly put voters first. Meanwhile, Trump keeps playing God, calling into Fox News as if entitled to airtime, and making pronouncements about Harris from on high before being cut off. Now, here's the thing. Harris can go do some interviews too. Trump is doing interviews. What's stopping Harris? The New York Times is upset because they're not taking her to task for not doing interviews. Wait, folks. Here's the next paragraph. Very next paragraph. This is a winnable race for Harris, but she hasn't won it yet. Far from it. She hasn't been tested, really tested, since Biden stepped aside. She hasn't been tested at all. What the hell are you talking about? Not really tested. She hasn't been tested, period. What's she been tested on anything? She hasn't been tested since Biden stepped aside. She hasn't given a single interview or news conference to face hard questions. Damn! She hasn't faced any questions. But it's really the debates that will test her. No, it's not, as if she sits in front of a camera. Her advisors think she might get away with doing just one against Trump. I think they underestimate her challenge in earning voters' trust. She needs to start proving herself outside of her comfort zone. Ultimately, she needs more voters in the swing states to trust her to handle the economy better than her opponent. Barack Obama, this isn't a good sign. So he's talking about Kamala Harris, but then has to invoke Barack Obama? Really? Really? So you're talking about her, and then next thing you know, you're mentioning Obama? So you're like, that's the last winner you really had? She can't stand on her own merits? You can't finish this article without referencing these other folk? That's not a good sign for her. If she's so great and so competent, why is it you're not saying, oh, she's smacking it out of the park, everything's great? Because it isn't. He said Barack Obama earned that trust through nearly 2 hard years of campaigning. He didn't coast on hope and change. Harris can't coast on joy. If she shows she can stand up under pressure, she can beat Trump and consign him for eternity to just playing God on Fox News. So the New York bubble has weighed in, but they've weighed in just like the LA Times. Notice that he made a point of, she hasn't given us a single interview yet. She hasn't done a single interview, not a single press conference. She hasn't answered any questions. You can only go for so long before people see, by the way, it's the Wizard of Oz. She's not doing or saying anything. You can't have Oprah jump out there and Lil Jon and John Legend and whoever else. Okay, the rock concert is over. The Beyonce concert is over. This is politics. You're not going to be able to hide behind that forever, and it's not looking so great. And they understand how fragile it is, and they're protecting her by not insisting that she answer their questions. They're upset because Trump is on TV answering questions. Like him or hate him, he's on TV answering policy questions. Kamala Harris is on television dodging them. And they know eventually people are going to say, by the way, she hasn't actually said anything for herself yet. Giving speeches is not going to help. Eventually, the bloom comes off the rose. And just to show you that there are folks out there who recognize how fragile it truly is, this is on Twitter. I shared this earlier here. Well, take a look at what they're saying on Twitter right now to that New York Times article that I just read you, that joy is not a strategy. Take a look. First they came for Joe, now Kamala. I thought she was doing great. I thought she was doing wonderful. I thought that she was doing everything she needed to do. then after all this propping up and shielding her and protecting her, all it took was one thing from the New York Times, and just that quickly, they are comparing her to Joe Biden. These are her supporters now. These are her fans. And this is just that quickly. They're saying, by the way, it cracked and shattered just that quick. Go down to the comments section, get ready to read them and weep. Alexander R., whoever in the hell you are, with your 6,000 followers. New York Times is now the oligarch paper. Their opinions push an agenda that aligns with their billionaire owners. Now, you all heard the article I just read. That article was as complimentary and ass-kissing of Kamala Harris as humanly possible. It was as shamelessly biased and prejudiced in her favor as you could possibly imagine. That article had very little information in it. It was just completely, hey, I'm a Kamala fanboy. And they're upset about it simply because they said, by the way, joy is not a strategy. Now, anybody who read the article, that article was not a hit piece at all. It's stating a simple fact. And what they're saying is that they understand how fragile she is. Even her most ardent, fervent supporters understand she's fragile. She's not answering any questions. They understand this is not how politics goes. She hasn't actually answered any questions, and they know. They know that a little over 30 days ago, she was the most unpopular politician on the planet, with the possible exception of Vladimir Putin. 45 days ago, she was the most unpopular politician in America because of the things she said, because of the things she stood for, because of the things that she espoused. That was why. And they are terrified that if she talks enough, she's going to remind people of why they didn't like her in the first place, and that you won't be able to hide her anymore. I said this weeks ago. It's bearing fruit. It's coming forth exactly the way I told you. She sticks around long enough, and she's going to start saying too much. And then reality is going to creep back in, and people are going to be like, oh, yeah, that's why we didn't like you. If you all agree, give me the check mark emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. So for 4,600 people in here live in just the first 26 minutes. But if you agree with what we're saying here tonight, give me the check mark emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. Or if you don't, that's okay too. Delon Ferdinand. Okay. Remember, the media does not want a peaceful, joyful government. What the hell do we need a peaceful, joyful government for? What kind of LGBT babble is this? Chaos, negativity, and fear drive ratings. What about the border, Ferdinand? Remember, the media does not want a peaceful, joyful government. What the hell is he what the hell is he talking about? A peaceful, joyful government. What the hell is that? This is DC, not Disco 9000, dumbass. Do you hear this idiocy? He wants a peaceful, joyful government. Does he think this will be an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert on the floor of the Congress every time you go there? When the Senate's in session and they're supposed to break out dancing dancing in September. What the hell is wrong with people? They spend too much damn time in front of their cell phones. They just say crazy stuff. This isn't even just silly. This is crazy. A joyful government. Joyful? Who the hell votes for a politician to be joyful? They're sitting there smiling at you like a jack-o'-lantern. People, the Biden base pipes must have got spread far and wide. What is this? A grown-ass man talking about he wants a joyful government. Can't tell you what it's for. LOL. All this, and Trump hasn't said a word on policy, but where's that article? As if the LA Times and New York Times have not been savaging Trump every single day. Kamala Harris gets one little article that says joy is not a strategy, and her support goes into panic. They go into conniptions. Remember what Michelle said? Do something. Okay. Boy, the irony of running from their own disasters is not looking so great. Those incapable of empathy should not endeavor to tell the joyful what to do or how to feel. Man, they trying hard to make this joy thing a thing. Yes, hatred, nihilism, narcissism, bigotry are the proven strategies. New York Times, please do better. Folks, these are her supporters. From one article, they crumpled under one article, even though it was from the New York Times. Do you hear this pablum? Do you hear this bum babble? Well, it's not. Joy isn't going to save America from Democrat policies destroying the middle class. Okay, well, Mike Ray, you're gonna get ready to get savage there. Well, joy is not enough might be a better way to frame it. I think many of us are looking for a more detailed rollout of policy positions of the how. I appreciate her campaign hasn't had much time to pull that messaging together, given the circumstances, so we wait. She's had 4 years in office. What the hell are you talking about? Did anybody bring it up? She's had 4 years in office. I heard her vision, and I'm quite happy with joy, hope, laughter, promise, and to relieve the PTSD that so many Americans have suffered from since Trump became president, COVID, etc. We are in recovery, and I'm here for it. Agreed, don't get me wrong, I would vote for a dead cat over Trump, but as a political junkie, I'm interested in her administration's policy details. She has outlined more detailed policy provisions than Trump at every turn. Maybe try listening. And she literally hasn't said anything except price controls, housing vouchers, didn't say anything. They're trying hard to prop her up. She's given very detailed policy positions. Cool. Link from her campaign website, which covers them, then. It doesn't exist at present. Good question. Did anybody provide a link to it? FFFs. So for F's sake. Did you get that? He's asking simple questions that her supporters, hey, if she's got policies, show us where they are. I can't believe people are disagreeing with you on this. A succinct platform on your website is pretty standard. The longer they wait, the more ammo the right gets. These are the rational people. This is a lie right here, and that's not true. That's not true. No. So they're just making things up. So you got to understand they're making things up. It's been 5 weeks, mate. For F's sake, she's had plenty of time. Internally, they obviously know her policies already. They just aren't popular at all. Not sure I agree with those statements. Dude, you just said you don't even know what their policies are. Given what you might enjoy learning about the bills passed you voted for, starting with the climate bill. If you believe onshoring manufacturing away from China is unpopular, I'm not sure what to say. Given what circumstances, she stole everything Joe's people put together. If she has anything, it's time. Well, it's not much of a stretch to suggest her policy positions will generally be the same as Joe's, but she can't run on that alone. She'll need some signature policy details she can repeat over and over during the campaign. I expect those will continue to be under the whatever. I mean, folks, take a look at it. Take a look at it. These folks here are crumbling, and literally they should be able to very quickly show you what it is they stand for and what it is they're about. That should be relatively easy to do, but they don't have anything. Take a look at this guy, Crazy Fanac, at least truth in advertising. Seems like a great strategy so far. Closed a wide polling gap and pulled into the lead. The GOP's wonky Project 2025 was, by contrast, was a disaster. She doesn't have any policies, dude. She's running and hiding. How long do you think you can keep that up? But hate is effing New York Times. I mean, take a look at how triggered they are. And the New York Times article was not a hit piece. What they're saying is, don't say the quiet part out loud. Very basic things that a politician should be doing. She should be on the stump. She should be talking to newspapers. She should be talking to anywhere and everywhere she can. They know that if she's allowed to freestyle, she is going to remind people why they don't like her. Donald Trump did not win the presidency because he was so great and popular. Donald Trump won the presidency because Hillary Clinton was more disliked than he was. Kamala Harris, up until 45 days ago, was more disliked than Trump. There's been a slight change to it, but if she starts talking again, she runs the very real risk of reminding people why they didn't like her in the first place. And her supporters are letting you know they're very scared that even the slightest thing could remind people of that. The slightest thing could remind them of that. Think about that for a few moments. We know who they are. Nothing to see. Focus on ground game. Did you get that? Focus on ground game. Who wrote this? Folks, just one article from the New York Times and they crumbled. Now, you all heard me read the article and your reaction to it was pretty much, same old same. Take a look at them. In other words, they need Kamala Harris to just be accepted with absolutely no scrutiny whatsoever. They need her to be accepted with absolutely no scrutiny whatsoever. None. None. What kind of you think you're going to be able to shield her for all the way to the White House? You think that's going to work? If she's that damn weak, you think that's going to work? That's not a very strong candidate. Not at all. And so it begins. Really? New York Times, such a joke. They literally sat their whole article sitting there throwing childish insults at Donald Trump. And these people talking about, that's no good. Damn the New York Times. So basically what you're saying is you need everybody to be on your team and you shouldn't have to earn anything. They should just go ahead and give it to you. That's not leadership. It's not leadership. You're not ready for even the basics. If this is what it requires, is that you can't have any scrutiny, you're not ready. So they're upset here about another article. New York Times, Kamala Harris has secured the nomination and united the Democratic Party behind a brighter vision for the future and why that's bad for her campaign. Do you see what we're up against here? Do you see what we're up against? I just want folks to recognize, it's like, by the way, this is how fragile it is. And this is not me talking. This is them cracking the pieces over one New York Times article, just one. Please remember, it was just one thing that got Joe Biden out of the race. If you all think the race is over, I'm just warning you, Trump, he might not be doing himself a bunch of favors, but if she continues to screw up, he might not have to. They're worried that she starts talking, and that's a wrap. They are scared that they're going to have to protect her as long as they can, but eventually she's going to have to start speaking. She's going to have to start speaking. And when she does, then what? Then what? There's plenty of time to remind people why they don't like you. There's plenty of time to remind people what they're not okay with. And her supporters are terrified that that's going to occur. They get it. They know that she doesn't really have anything and you're going to be able to bluff your way for a little while, but eventually she's going to have to come out and start talking. And she's not ready. She's not ready. Tell you the other thing that went wrong here. Kamala Harris had an entire convention and she let you know. She let you know. She doesn't actually have anything. What did she offer us? That's the part that they're worried about is, by the way, you're not going to be able to, okay, here's the whole goal. And I told you all this here before, by the way. Here's the whole goal. Their goal was that they were going to be able to get her to be Barack Obama 2.0. That was their goal. We're going to be able to get her to be Barack Obama 2.0. I told y'all, they brought in Barack Obama's people. They brought in Barack Obama's people. And they said, man, let's see if we can go ahead and make that work. They got David Plouffe. They got some other Barack Obama's people there. The Obamas now got their hooks up her backside. They were telling themselves, okay, we're going to be the second coming of his. We're going to see if we can make that work. Now they try to put into place the strategies for him, but it doesn't work for her. You see, Barack Obama understood the game. Barack Obama understood that he needed to talk like us. Kamala Harris can't even talk like us. Kamala Harris should have been able to remember when the young man got beat to death there by the police there and she went to the funeral and couldn't even speak. She couldn't even talk to a room full of black people as a black person. She's not comfortable in her own skin. She's not comfortable in her own skin. That's an issue. When she needs to be able to speak and relate to us as a human being, no teleprompter, you need to be able to talk to us. You're not going to be able to get them to anticipate every question that's going to be asked of you. You're going to have to speak on your feet and you're going to have to respond to us like a real person. And she's failed to do that, and they're terrified of what will. You know why? Because if she's put in front of a camera, and you start talking to her as a black person, she's eventually going to have you expect me to do something just for black people? No. You expect me to do something just for black people? No. Not gonna do it. See, the real thing eventually is going to have to come out. If she has to speak from the hip, the real thing is going to come out. You're going to get hit with questions that the press can't shield you from. And you're going to have to give some sensible, correct answers. That's why they're hiding her now, because they understand it's not going to happen. And then it becomes a fight between who is going to shoot themselves in the foot more, you or Trump. Who's going to do worse damage? Who's going to do worse damage to their reputation? Who's going to make a bigger ass of themselves, you or Trump? What is going to happen when she gets out there and she has to talk about Palestine? What's going to happen when she has to do that? What's going to happen when she has to speak to them? Then what? What's going to happen when she actually has to talk to them and nobody gets to set this up for you? What happens when you actually have to speak on your own? Then what? Will she even be able to do that, or is she going to start talking like who she actually is? Is she going to start talking the way she actually is? Because if that happens, this thing is already over. Her floor is much lower than Trump's is. Everybody knows what to expect from him. General wackiness. From Kamala Harris, when she starts that phony routine, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. However, some of you might disagree. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and throw the link for the Zoom up in the chat room here so you can go ahead and weigh in for yourselves. Folks, is she going to do anything? You saw the convention. You heard the speeches. Is she going to do anything? Did you hear something that made you say, well, you know what? I'm rethinking this. Did you hear a game changer in there? I mean, from her, not from all the folk. Do y'all realize the overwhelming amount of people that they surrounded her with? They brought in celebrities. They brought in every former Democrat president who could make their way up the stage. They drowned that whole stage in every single other personality that was not her. They didn't bring the big guns. They brought every gun, every kitchen sink, every sponge. I want to find out, did it sway you? Did it work? Do you have a different feeling about it now? Did something touch your feels? Do you feel the joy? What? Do you feel the joy? You tell me. In the meantime here, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program. On PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, my man Cyberdyne100. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Nancy King, as always here, Third Eye Open. Thank you very much for your support here as well. That Girl Sensational's got her membership up. Inky Dink, thank you very much for yours as well. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we'll be discussing this and more. This is the Black Channel.
Are you looking for real financial advice? Thorton Financial is here to help. Certified financial planner Jason Thornton specializes in tax and wealth planning. Are you living paycheck to paycheck with no retirement plan? Do you need help with the IRS? Book your free consultation with Thornton Financial today. Budgeting, savings, debt management, and retirement. Even tax debt settlements. Get the advice you need to live your best life. Book your free consultation appointment today. Go to www.thornton-financial.com.
Hi, I'm Mr. B, and I welcome you to visit my website, mrbtheteacher.com. Explore our site for my latest book, my blog, and podcast that are packed with insightful articles, tips, and strategies to help students navigate the educational journey. Need more help? Check out my education consulting and tutoring services for engaging lessons, downloadable resources, and personalized learning plans. Please join us at mrbtheteacher.com today. Thank you all for listening.
order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And the link to go ahead and contact us here on Zoom is available at the top of the chat room there. So for all of you around the world, you can go ahead and click on that. We won't require you to get on. I won't require to show you on camera, though. I want to make sure you have your camera and your microphone on just so we can make sure we don't have any trolling issues. But I won't require you to go ahead and be on camera in front of the world there necessarily. So you don't have to worry about that. But if you are going to be on Zoom, just make sure you have your camera and your microphone on just so we can make sure we don't have any trolling issues. We got all that covered there. Well, folks, as I predicted there before, very, very obvious. The honeymoon is already over. As soon as they left the convention, they are worried to death. Both the New York Times and the Los Angeles Times have both voiced the exact same concern. What will happen? What will happen if Kamala Harris starts speaking? They both made both of their articles, New York Times and LA Times, the two preeminent newspapers in America, have both made the observation. And by the way, Kamala Harris hasn't given a single interview yet. She hasn't given a single sit-down interview yet, not a single one. And they understand that's never a good thing, ever. However, you might disagree. So you can go ahead and click the Zoom link. You are certainly welcome to give us a call there. And we'll be glad to speak with you here as well. As I said here, just please make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. I won't show you on camera, but I just need to make sure we got that turned on so everything is straight there. All right, Mr. Parker, we got you here on Zoom. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Jason? My name is Parker. I'm from New York City. And my question is, what is on her birth certificate? I have yet to see any evidence of her birth certificate and what race is listed.
Yeah, what folks are handing around, it only lists about her mother and her father. So not anything really, well, folks are passing around, if that's legitimate, it's not really for her, it's for her mother and her father. So not for her in particular, but I mean, her father is pretty well documented. So as far as his ethnicity and his race and everything, that's pretty well documented. Him, the grandmother and all that. Here's the real issue. What does she identify as? There's the issue. Because I don't care if you look like Wesley Snipes. What if you don't identify as one of us? That answers everything.
I mean, Rob Reiner can identify as us, but on his birth certificate is white or Caucasian. What I want to know is what is on her birth certificate off gate. And then if it's Caucasian or Indian, well, then where did the black come from?
Well, like I say, definitely I can understand. You don't get to pick what you put on your birth certificate. Your parents choose that. So even if you did see something wacky and weird there, can't really put that on her if we're just going to say there's a practical thing. Your parents can say something stupid. That's not going to necessarily be genetically binding on you. I'm concerned about what she's been doing because I know what her genetics say. Yeah, but I also know what her behavior and her identity have been saying. That concerns me far more. You're not going to convince me of something else when this is a woman who is solidly, consistently identified as Asian. And it's not that she doesn't think she has some black in her. She wants to claim black when convenient. No matter what's going on for anybody, do we allow that little game to keep getting played? where you identify black as a political block, but not as a personal identity, and just keep playing us because we're so desperate for, quote, representation. That's the deal breaker for me.
And I think it's kind of unfair for us because if her father was half Indian and Irish and her mother's total Indian, where did the black come from? I mean, it's just beyond my comprehension how that could just show up out of nowhere. And she rocks with it and we rocking with it. Nah.
Well, through her life, there's no real showing that she really was identifying with that till she gets ready to go to college. That's about the time you decide what career you're going to go into, just like Barack Obama, Harvard Law Review. Barack Obama knew he wanted to run for president when he was in grade school. The Harvard Law Review is just where he went to go start, refining and honing his skills. Same thing with Kamala Harris. She knew she wanted to run for public office when she went into college, and everything she's done since then has been on that career path. She went to college. She understood. I mean, I covered this in my program about her, whether or not she was black or not. She went to college to get some black credentials because she knew she didn't have any. Being able to go visit your kinfolk in Jamaica, those are their black credentials, but they're not yours. So she did what she could to burnish her own. And what do you know? 40 years later, when you ask people about what does she have in common with us, the only thing they'll name is, well, she went to Howard. So what do you know? That was the token chip she was playing all this time. She was holding that. So if they question my black credentials, I'll tell them I went to school at Howard. And that's all she's had. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I agree with you that it really doesn't matter what the parents put on her birth certificate is what she identifies as. But I don't see many of us in power locking up mothers for what their children have done, or half the hood would be gone in jail. It's just ridiculous for anyone to have no black in their genetics to somehow claim black in so much of our population, our voting population, is just rocking with it. It's crazy. So I think we need not make the same mistake we did with Obama and truly vet her.
Yeah, that's really what they're testing now is, can we run that Obama playbook again? Well, they got some black in them, and don't worry about what they're doing. Just can you go with that? Yes, you hit on the nail on the head. They're checking to see if they can run that playbook again. We're going to find out. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We are going to find out if they do. Let me go ahead and remind you all, this is for all the marbles. Please understand, this is for all the marbles. If this fails, if Trump gets back in the White House, if Kamala Harris fails, there will be absolute calamity. Here's the issue with them propping her up so hard so quickly. You can't fall back on these. She didn't have enough support now. So if she goes into a political collapse between now and election day, you're going to have to point the damn finger. You won't be able to say that she didn't have enough time. You won't be able to say she didn't have enough support. All of the newspapers and the television stations, everybody came out supporting her. So she got ahead in the polls. You can't claim that anymore. So when the rubber meets the road, she can't close the deal, you're going to have to start counting votes. And if it turns out that black support was soft after all, and she loses those swing states and that black vote didn't show up, folks, once again, we are back in play and the attention is back on us. Please understand that. Once again, we are back in play and the attention is back on us, and they will be looking at black folk and saying, what did y'all do? Please understand, they're going to come looking at us. They're going to come looking at us. Mark my words. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Bruce up here on Zoom. We'll see if we can get Bruce here on Zoom. Make sure, is that Bruce or Boos? Okay, Boos. There we go. Got Boos on Zoom. Thought it was Bruce. It's Boos. It's Bruce without the R. Maybe he just had the typo when he made this Zoom account. So hopefully that's better. All right, Boos, turn your speakers off. First of all, if you got YouTube on or whatever, you need to turn your speakers off.
Turn your speakers off, first of all. If you got YouTube on.
Okay, that newfangled technology.
Turn your speakers off, first of all. You got YouTube on. Newfangled technology.
He's looking around crazy. He's like, wait a minute, which one is the speaker? Okay, folks, please, if you're going to call in, I have no problem with that, but please be acquainted with all this newfangled tech. There's a volume button and sliders. Turn off your YouTube, sir. I can't wait all evening.
Turn off your YouTube.
Oh, y'all, he is looking around like he is a DJ lost in the studio. Okay, he's muted himself now.
Okay,
Boost, I'm going to give you 5 seconds here to get that straightened out, then I got to move on.
Boost, I'm going to give you 5 seconds.
I got to get down the road, brother. You got to turn your speakers off.
Boost, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. I got to get down the road, brother.
Okay, Boost is going to have to go back to Apple iOS school to get that straightened out. We'll see what we can do there. Let me go ahead and see if I can get FLA up here on Zoom. FLA. Hopefully they know how to use theirs better and don't have stuff going crazy there. Okay, FLA, go ahead and unmute. Press your unmute button.
Unmute.
All right, FLA. What is your name? I'm trying to figure out how to do it with this.
Yeah, Florida Sun.
Okay,
Cheryl.
Florida. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, you look like a wonderful Irish lady.
No, just on the contrary. No,
Okay.
I'm not Irish, but I am pale skin, white, whatever you want to call me, Jason.
I thought it was pretty close there. Did he just say Irish or British, one or the other? I thought it was pretty close there.
Well, I don't know. So maybe Heinz 57 from Europe. Yeah, Polish, German.
Oh, there you go. All right, Florida.
Been here a long time.
What's on your mind?
Well, I seen the Zoom thing come up, and I didn't want you to block me from your show Don't get mad at me.
Okay, well, she's been listening in that long. The rest of y'all have no damn excuse. Now, if the wonderful Polish lady knows this, the rest of y'all have no excuse. She called herself real quick. It's not a show. Sorry. Thank you.
No. Yeah, sorry. It's not a show. But I do. I love your presentation. I agree with you so much. And you just a very articulate, smart man. And I grew up down in 305, okay? Then up to 954. Now here I am in this Central Florida. It's I think they're gonna go for Kamala down here. I mean, for real, but I don't trust her. That's all. I do not trust her.
I think that's going to be a tough sell in Florida. Now,
I know.
Okay,
I know.
For those of you who have never been in Florida or studied them politically, technically speaking, what tends to happen in the elections is the major urban cities, the big cities, Miami, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, to a lesser degree, Orange County, but, Orlando, to a lesser degree there. But those tend to swing Democrat. It's everything else. And then, by the way, there's a lot of everything else. Florida is a different type of creature in that regard. So we can name places like Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa, Tallahassee. Yeah, but you got a lot of population really around those places. For example, the actual population of Orlando proper is only around 250,000 people. So Orlando is not this million folk. Where the population explodes is when you start counting the tourists and Disney and all that. Disney is, for those of you who don't realize it, Disney is not actually in Orlando. It's actually a whole separate municipality by itself. You can go look in the Reedy Creek development. Folks in Florida already know this. I'm naming this because when you start counting Kissimmee, Oneida, Lake Buena Vista, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people not in the Orlando area. Well, you got that kind of thing all over Florida. So there's how you can have a Ron DeSantis consistently being elected, even though you have a Miami and a Jacksonville and a Tampa and a Tallahassee. There's a big population in Florida that's outside of the cities themselves. So I don't really see a whole lot of mathematics that are going to overturn that. I think that DeSantis' solid hold there. They pretty much rigged the legislature and everything. I don't think you're going to be able to overcome that in Florida. I don't think that's going to happen.
Here around Stetson College, they all about her, and
they would be.
I'm like, how do you forget buyer's remorse, y'all? they don't seem to really care about us. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Well, but think about that a different way. I mean, look, colleges tend to have young people who are contrary for the sake of being contrary. They want to be different. They want to be, they want to rebel. So whatever direction they see the rest of you going in, they're going to go in the opposite direction simply because, oh, you old folks are going that way. It must not be cool. So you say up, they'll say down. So you can't really count the colleges. What you really want to do is count the masses of that. And I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe that the Santisization of Florida is weakening. You'll find some pockets. I'm pretty sure your major centers are going to do what they always do. But you can have you would have to show me that there's some collapse in support for Trump in Florida. And he's very comfortable at Mar-a-Lago. He's very comfortable in West Palm Beach. I haven't seen anything that shows the state of Florida rejects him. I got to
agree with you, sir. When you said, he's just got to watch what he's saying and I put in there, he better check it twice, 2 times, and 3 times, because we know that he will speak out. And, I don't really believe, I'm scared of her. And but scares me is we was on Whiplash, man, for 4 years. What's he going to say now? What's he going to say? I mean, very Whiplash. But it's like, I don't know who her goddess is. And my friends will tell you that I'm from a different thread. I go to a Black church. So, I mean, my people well, I'm trying to say the reason I came on your show because I seen the Zoom thing pop up, and I got caught up late on your not show. What do I want to say? Presentation? I don't know, something. But I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to call it. But channel, okay. I love your channel, and so when I seen the Zoom thing pop up there, I was like, oh no, he's going to just ban me because I didn't hear him for me to call in. I must have said something on chat, so that's the reason I called.
Okay.
Really?
Well, you certainly called in. That's all you need to do there. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I didn't want you to ban me, though.
All right. Thank you very much here. All right, Becky Babel. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Agnes here. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring Agnes up on Zoom. Yes, y'all, I've got mass appeal. I'm international. It is what it is. Yes, this is the program. We are the Black Media. If you want to know what Black folk really think, this is the place to be there. All right, Agnes, we got you on Zoom. What's on your mind?
Hi, good evening. The only thing I care about at this point is the outcome. I don't have any confidence that Kamala will come forward and give a press conference. I do agree with you about the fact that she has the support of the media and the Hollywood elites and so on and so forth. And I do agree with you that should she not seal the deal, they're going to come directly for us. And I just look at it this way. When you're propping up an empty suit and you spend hundreds of millions of dollars on propping up that empty suit instead of putting that money into the government programs, you get what you deserve. I don't feel anything.
Well, you make a very good point there, because I mentioned this last week when I said, by the way, I have to let you all know, in all honesty, and it's caught on after that since I said it. I mean, look, I'm always the first guy through the door. I'm always going to keep you all abreast of these things. If Kamala Harris wins, they're going to declare the black vote is irrelevant. We don't have to do anything for black folk, even though we came out voting for them. They're going to say, see, we don't have to do anything for black folk. Nothing at all. That will be their confirmation. We don't have to do anything for them. All right. However, the inverse will also be taken as reality. If the media, after this unprecedented tsunami of feckless, shameless, glad-handing, butt-kissing, fealty, and support, if they lose this election after they have done everything imaginable, if they lose this election, every victory fuels the next victory, and a defeat this big will fuel a bunch of other defeats. They're going to start questioning their relevance across the board. Everyone is going to start questioning their relevance. There's a whole bunch of people who all their credibility is riding on this. You can't go all the way in neck deep for Kamala Harris like this and lose. You can't do that. You can go in this deep and win. You can't sit up here and crash all the way out like they're doing and lose and then keep your head. You can't do it. So for them, believe me, you and I are not nearly as nervous as they are. If they go all out for her like this and lose, CNN, New York Times, LA Times, for all the rest of them, forget it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. At that point, you can no longer claim you have relevance. You can't. Agnes is in stunned disbelief. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Auntie Audra. Okay, there's a one of a kind name there. Let me see if we can get Auntie Audra here. Hopefully Auntie Audra has not broken away from her computer. There you go. All right, Auntie Audra. Why are you looking like one of Kamala Harris's kinfolk, Audra? Why?
Oh. Jason,
oh Lord, I done kicked the beehive. Here we go.
American freedmen, all day, every day. Nothing to do with Kamala. I'm sorry. That hurt my feelings, Jason.
Okay, man, we're gonna have to put a red dot on your head so you can sneak into one of her family meetings. You can sneak into the family reunion. You're going to be our sleeper, baby. We got to get in when we fit in. So we're going to put a red dot on your head. You're going to have to go over there for their little, whatever the Indian Thanksgiving is. I'm going to have to have you sneak over in there so you can tell us what they're talking about.
I'll be the spook that sat next to the door for you.
And she'll be the Hindu who sat by the curry goat.
I wouldn't even know how to call that, but I'm just saying, I'm sorry. Sir, but
just keep nodding your head. Just whatever they say, just keep nodding your head. It's like,
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I'm just saying, just keep nodding your head. When you go sneak in there, stand by the curry goat and just nod your head. Just keep nodding your head. Whatever they say to you, just nod your head. Just nod your head. If they don't call security, you're okay. What's on your mind?
My people are out of Paris, Texas. So American freedmen here. What's on my mind is the Green Party. So I want to start with full disclosure. I'm a member of the Green Party. Been rocking with them for a little bit, and they do have direct cash and land reparations on their platform. And they're running an American freedman as their VP. He is a professor out at UC Santa Barbara. He's a Muslim, and so I'm wondering what you think of that as a place for us to park our bus and get off and check that box for the Green.
I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. I don't see them as any worse as anybody else. You know, I interviewed Ajamu Baraka for my last documentary film. So, I mean, I know lately it's, I get it. I understand. Believe me, like I said, I don't really make a habit of doing that, but look, I'm not ignorant of it. I'm just saying, hey, it speaks for itself. Jason, where did you, I seen, okay, hey, folks got to stand on their own. They got to stand on their own. So they want to take that position. Hey, you got to carry that. But I mean, Jill Stein and friends, like I say, I don't have anything against them necessarily. I don't have anything against any party out there, period. You know, I don't have one in particular. I don't care who you vote for. I just think it's in your best interest to vote for Black empowerment. And regardless of that, it doesn't really matter who you vote for. Now, please understand, I'm not as worried about the Green Party as the Democrats are. So please keep that in mind. I don't know how old the lady is. However, if you're about my age, you remember going all the way back to, actually it goes back to the 90s. Ross Perot, when he jumped in the election, some folk want to say he cost George H.W. Bush the election, and he's probably going to lose that regardless, but Perot certainly took some votes. 2000 was a game changer. Ralph Nader jumps into the election, and he got enough votes that you can make the argument that cost Al Gore the election. In 2000. The Democrats have been scared to death of a spoiler ever since. They were able to beat back the competition in 2004 and 2008. Barack Obama was so overwhelming, he sucked all the oxygen out of the room till you get to 2016. And I talked to Ajamu Baraka. I interviewed him. I said, hey, people say that you and Jill Stein cost Hillary Clinton the election. And he was like, I would say that she cost herself the election. So it's like, what do we have to do with that? If the people are not supporting it, they're not supporting it. So I think they're more concerned about that. When you put that together with RFK, that kind of thing right there caused an issue. But to answer your question on its merits, I don't necessarily have an issue with them one way or the other. I don't have one with them one way or the other. If folk vote for them, that doesn't bother me.
Would you be interested in interviewing Butch Ware?
I
think he's stronger than Ajamu Baraka. Ajamu Baraka gets on my nerves, I'm not going to lie. But Butch Ware I think he's the real deal.
Okay. Well,
I wish he was at the top of the ticket.
Well, tell him, email me.
I will do that. Thank you, sir. I appreciate every single thing that you do.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, boy, she got upset when I said, don't put me over there with Kamala. I'm like, okay. That's the kind of high yellow energy we need right there. She stopped that real quick. Wait a minute now. Okay. You know what? I'll call her back on Zoom. Hey, this is Zac Efron. Hi, Audra. This is Zac Efron. Zac! Hey, I got an extra ticket for the Britney Spears concert. Zac, you cad. I'm just messing with her. Maybe not. I don't know. So it's like, when they're around us and everything, is everybody 10 toes down and hard body when they're around us, but it's just like, you got to test them just to make sure. We got to be sure, y'all. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. So it's, yeah, hey, here's the test for the high yellow kids, y'all. Here's the test for the high yellow girls. Sit them down in front of the TV and start playing the television show Friends. Damn! Start playing the theme song to Friends. Oh, if she can sit there and sing that I'll Be There For You lyric for lyrics, you blew your cover, baby. You blew your cover. You blew your cover. Oh, you were doing good. That one smokes them out every time. That one will smoke them out you start playing the theme song to Friends, and if she can sing the lyrics, it's like, you blew your cover. You ain't got to fake it funk. You ain't got to lie to kick it, but we had to smoke you out. We had to smoke you out. Y'all know it. All right, let me go ahead and see if I can get Kevon up here on Zoom. Let me get Kevon here on Zoom. All right, Kevon. Thank you very much for joining us. It looks like she just got her hair did. Did you just get your hair done?
It's not done.
Okay, what'd she say? She woke up like this?
Yeah.
Okay, what'd she say? I'm a part-time stylist. I do this on my own. Okay. I don't blame you. What'd she say? She stay ready. What's on your mind, ma'am? What'd she say? Her husband over there like, oh boy, he's been game. All right, Kevon, what's on your mind, ma'am?
All right. So all we want to say is that we feel as if she wins, that us as the Black community, we're just done.
Not true.
You don't think so?
No, ma'am. I mentioned this here last week. Let's be very, very clear. No matter who wins or loses the election, baby, we're going to be here. Let's be very clear about that. We are going to be here. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with. That will not change. But Jason, the odds will be against us. The odds are already against us. The odds are already against us. So that's reality right there. Obviously, I want the most favorable situation we can have. But baby, look here. We are not going to pack. I said this last week. We are not, if Kamala Harris wins, we are not going to do what them other folk do. We are not going to pack up and head for the border. We're not all getting ready to get our Canada flags. We are not on a boat to Tahiti or someplace, but we're going to be right here. I don't care if Kamala Harris, Trump, or Ichabod Crane wins the election. We're going to be here. Regardless.
Okay, so what do you think about the influx of the immigrants then? Because once if she gets in office, they're just going to be everywhere.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I was in Dallas back in the mid-90s when that really kicked off there. So you watch the zone get flooded with that. Then out there in Arizona, I watched the zone get flooded with that. You know, so those are things I've seen happen. And to the extent that we can do something, okay, we will. Though there are certain things that are not under our control. What is under our control is being organized. What is under our control is not being financially destitute. What is under our control is having a code of conduct. Please keep in mind, Jewish people don't operate that way. They are a minority wherever they are on the planet, but they do understand the value of making sure that they're not impoverished, that they are codified. They make sure the value of that. Same thing for Middle Easterners. So I'm not so much worried about numbers. What I'm worried about is whether or not we're on code, whether or not we're organized, whether or not we're resourced. I can name for you a bunch of places in America right now that with the majority of the population, what good is it doing us? What good does that do us when you don't have any resources, you don't have a code of conduct, everybody off code? That's more of a danger than anything else. Monitoring these other factors is essential because these are outside external influences trying to take advantage. You need to always monitor that, of course. But please understand, the real devil in the room is, okay, when you're together as a group, how on code are y'all? Believe me, ma'am, listen to me. We've never been the majority in America, nowhere. And yet we built and run the culture. That's not something we on the way to doing. We've been doing this the whole damn time. What you call American culture, we created that. From the looks to the dress to the swag to the music. That's us. America's greatest export is its culture. In other words, us. That's it. We're going to continue to do that. Our population numbers are not going to determine that. We do need to be aware of other people's attempts to destabilize us, to flush us out and to put us in a powerless position. Yes, we need to be aware of that, but we are going to continue doing what we're doing regardless. We just need to be aware of the tactics other people are using so we can stay ahead of that. Case in point, we don't need to have a single population change for us not to get took in by Kamala Harris as a Trojan horse. You could freeze the population numbers and demographics right now exactly the way they are, and we would still be able to not get taken in by that. You see what I mean? We can be aware of those kind of little tactics with the population demographics remaining right where they are right now, and we're still aware. That's the most powerful thing we can do. And we will continue to do that. We're just going to monitor them because you need to be aware of what they're doing. That so when they bring people in different places, that happens. Baby, did that dog just try to kiss you in the mouth?
No,
I'm sitting here watching it.
She did not. I don't allow her to kiss me in my mouth.
Okay, it's damn sure talking. Okay, he's sitting up there, you looking like the doggy mother. I'm like, okay, baby. Hey, brother, there's hair on the bed. There's hair in the washing machine. What are we doing? What are we doing?
No, she's my little emotional support animal, but no, I don't allow her to kiss me in my mouth. She's not even allowed to sleep in the bed.
Okay, because
she got a crate next to me.
Okay, all these women with these dogs, you in Florida, both of y'all got dogs in the bed. I didn't say nothing about Florida. I'm like, oh, I can't take it no more now. I saw this and I'm like, okay, I gotta say something now. Sorry, the dog thing is out of control.
No.
Okay, you might want to vote for Kamala after all, is what I'm gonna say. Based on this, you might need to. She looked like she'll snuggle up with one too, so I wouldn't want you to be uncomfortable.
No. But thank you for your time, Jason. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Yes, you want to hop off real quick then. Damn, you see the dog. I saw it from the moment you got on there. I'm like, okay, between her and Florida, between the two of y'all, what are we going to do here? The dog is up in her lap. Is just on top of it. He's like, hey, hold on. You ain't paying me no attention. Let me get him in there. She's sitting up here swinging her head around, trying to dodge the dog's tongue. I'm like, oh, we got a lot going on this camera. There's a lot going on. There's a whole lot happening. You worrying about Kamala. You need to be worrying about K9. All right, let me go ahead and see if I can get Elijah up here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and get Elijah here on Zoom. Let me get a light on here. So, Elijah, let me give you a few seconds here to get a light on for me. Oh, I hope it's not another undressed nigga. That would be the most happening here.
I'm sorry, big brother.
Okay, this is Brother Elijah.
Yes, this is Brother Elijah. Let me
Okay, brother. At first, I thought you wasn't wearing a shirt. I'm like, what is up with all these dudes who call me with the?
This is me,
they call me up with their shirts off, and I'm like, what is up with that? They be calling me on the edge of the bed. They got their shirts off, and look, I'm talking about look silky smooth, like the brother last week. He called me up. He was shirtless and looking. I'm like, what are y'all? He looked like he went and got a wax, and I'm just like, oh, his stripper name is Sweet Chocolate. His stripper name is Silky Chocolate. I'm like, okay. Oh, I'm behind on the times. All right, brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Hey, big brother. Excellent broadcast tonight. As usual, nothing less but the best from you, brother. When you was discussing Miss Kamala Harris, I was wondering this question, big brother. We already know on the grassroots what sunk her presidential campaign with us internally when she made that comment 5 years ago that she wasn't going to do nothing just for Black people. That's internally for us. But what do you think, or what do you predict will sink her campaign externally?
If Kamala Harris keeps talking,
yes, sir,
she's going to remind white society of why they don't like her. Kamala Harris strikes you as phony. That flies in California. In California, you can hustle your draws because the sexual degeneracy is a culture in California. That doesn't fly outside of California. All that downtown Willie Brown mess she was doing, that would have been the end of her political career in any other state, except the wacky world, the wacky Republic of California. So you have a California politician who is attempting to translate that elsewhere. Barack Obama was a global traveler, but he was in Muslim countries and other places like that. So we understood that thing ain't gonna fly. For Kamala Harris, she has a total lack of self-awareness. She's not comfortable in her own skin. She's always had political sponsors who shielded her. That's what she's used to. So she can be a product who's packaged so long as you don't follow her around very much. So in California, they shielded her. They protected her. Now she's in a place where she can't be shielded and protected the same way. That's the external factor. If she's allowed to speak extemporaneously, to answer any real questions, she will show you what she really is, and she will remind you, oh yeah, that's why we don't like you. You're phony.
Yes, sir. Well, I got this question then. If that is the case, big brother, she refuses to do a press conference. So I'm wondering how long can she keep this up? Because she's technically by default going to give Trump the election if she doesn't do a press conference.
Well, they know that she has to. They're stalling for as much time as they can because that's the only strategy they have. The clock is the clock. The calendar is the calendar. The number of days you have available at your disposal is the number of days you have at your disposal till election day. They are hoping that they can build. You can see what the strategy is. The strategy is we can't sell you on what you think because it turns people off. So we can't package you on policies and what you think. We're going to have to package you like Nike and like Apple. We're going to have to package a feeling. So this is why there's hitting you not with Obama was hope and change, with this woman is joy. We're going to have to appeal to feelings, and hopefully we repackaged you. Hopefully we have repackaged you in such a way that the electorate will think of a feeling first before they listen to what you say. And they're hoping they can get as much distance as they can between now and the debate, so that hopefully we can solidify this newly packaged image as a feeling before she inevitably opens her mouth and says something that wipes away the fantasy. That's the strategy now. It's clear to see what they're doing. They're stalling for time and hoping we can get this solidified as much as it can be before she inevitably has to speak and reality inevitably comes back into view.
Yes, sir. I got this one question then. With this last question, I'm gonna release it for the other brothers and sisters to call you up, big brother. Should we be afraid because if this woman slips in this White House, and God forbid, and I'm not a Trump supporter at all. I ain't cooling for Trump, but particularly this woman. Do you see the floodgates opening worse for the migrants than Biden?
To an extent, you're going to see that happen no matter what occurs. Our real thing is the real thing you're looking for is places like Chicago, places like Atlanta, where they're trying to drop folk off out to dilute our numbers. That's the thing you really want to look for. We need to be aware of it.
They hear you, brother.
Well, you got a problem with your microphone there if you're not hearing, but we want to make sure that we're aware of where they're trying to dilute our numbers. We want to make sure we're aware of that. Brother Elijah's having some problems out of his microphone, so let me go ahead and put him up here. But no, I'm not the least bit afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not telling you all to be afraid of anything. You're not going to be afraid of anything. You can't be around here and be scared. This is not for the faint of heart. We are not for the scared. We're not for the easily afraid. If you want to run, there's plenty of folks out there who are used to running. They run from one place to another. We ain't running nowhere. I don't care what the numbers are wherever we at. We standing. We have never been a majority population since the Europeans showed up. That's just the reality. We still ain't running. I don't care what the numbers are. We ain't running, and they're not gonna move us. Those are facts. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Santi here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and get Santi on Zoom for me. All right, Santi, what's on your mind?
What's going on, brother? Black first, yes, indeed. I just needed to ask you a question here real quick. What has made this mass level of celebrities be this far off code? Now, my thought process is a lot of them know better. When I'm watching rappers like rather Common Sense or some of these other entertainers, you would feel like he's a conscious rapper. So he should know better underneath of the context of what's good and what you should not be doing. Along with John Legend, all these clowns you've seen out here, they've had a lot of them. What has been this big incentive here upon all these celebrities willfully jumping on board?
Very glad you mentioned that there. We're going to be going into this in my documentary film 8 a.m. coming up here because I've been giving you all a primer about this now for years. The biggest misnomer when it comes to entertainment, that includes sports and singing in the music industry, the biggest misnomer is that you are being given the best and the brightest and the most talented. That's the biggest misnomer there can be. It's never been that, ever. It's been who survived the casting couch. It's been about who does the most tricks, who's the most reliable. The real revolutionary thing about Diddy was that Cassie went ahead and snitched and told everybody what we've known all along. Or at least she confirmed what we've known all along. Well, he was doing that since the 90s. He's standing next to all these so-called gangsters in New York, and yet Diddy likes some big, strong men to get the freak off going, while he's standing right there with them. So it's not till we get to Frank Ocean and all of a sudden folks start thinking about it a little bit different. I'm like, by the way, Diddy right there, he been here about 15 years, hasn't he? So what I'm saying is that's the reality of it. The casting couch is a real thing. That's how you gonna get your record deal. With those white folk want to make sure you buck broken. They're not going to let in anybody who isn't. They got to, and you have to be, because otherwise, how they going to pull your card? You will be a force to be reckoned with. We got to make sure we got something on you, so when we get ready to pull this card, if we ever need to, we already got the trap door to do away with you already set. So I've been mentioning that to you all when it comes to sports. A lot of folk didn't understand, and I wasn't talking about sports is rigged, as in it's rigged like the WWE. I mean that if you go to college and play in the NCAA, if Nick Saban, I don't care what NFL team comes to the school, if Nick Saban makes a phone call to the New Orleans Saints or to the Dallas Cowboys or to the New York Giants and says, yeah, this kid, he can play, but he's problematic, you're done. I don't care if you're the best football player that's ever existed. Nick Saban makes a phone call. The chancellor of Duke or Notre Dame make a phone call. Your stats don't matter anymore. The whole world is going to be looking at you with fantastic stats, and you can't get signed to a team. So playing ability is not what does it. Singing ability is not what does it. Have you been vetted? Brother, you can't get with Universal Music and you ain't been vetted. You're not going to get a record deal and you ain't been vetted. Shout out Drake. You're not going to get signed and you haven't been vetted. You're not going to get them movie roles like that and you haven't been vetted. And if you do flip bad, we're going to scuttle you. Shout out Wesley Snipes. So if things go left, they keep doing that. That's not accidental. These are not the best singers, the best writers, the best athletes, the best rappers. These are the best ones who were vetted and chosen. They're on the team. They're in the tank. And they are known quantities. They're not a risk. Nobody was scared that John Legend was going to have a Malcolm X moment or a Marvin Gaye moment and say something real. Nobody is worried about Meg Thee Stallion having a Coretta Scott King moment or a Betty Shabazz moment. Nobody's worried about Lil Jon and the East Side Boys having an Eldridge Cleaver, Medgar Evers moment. You can leave them the microphone all damn night. They're going to dance. They're going to sing. If they do say something, it's just going to be Kamala Harris stand on business. And that's going to be it. They're not worried. So that's who it is, brother. They were already in the tank. They went chasing it. Need I remind you, Atlanta, Georgia, the Greyhound bus station is literally right across the street from Magic City. What? For those of you, my folk in Atlanta know this. Okay, if y'all don't live in Atlanta, the bus station is literally right across the street from Magic City. And by across the street, I'm talking about it's a 2-lane street. The bus station is literally right across the street from Magic City. She can get off the damn bus with her gym bag and her G-string and her slingshot and literally walk right across the street. She doesn't even have to stop for lunch. She can literally get off the bus and get straight to work wiggling and jiggling without stopping for lunch. And I mean that. I'm serious. I'm not making this up. You can go Google Maps it. Get the street view of Google Maps, Greyhound bus station, right across the street, Magic City. You think it's downtown in some nice neighborhood. Nope, right across the street from the bus station. Los Angeles, something similar. Los Angeles, something similar. New York, something similar. Miami, something similar. What do you know? Folks go looking for it, man. They go looking for it. It's presented to us as if somehow they worked their way up to something. They didn't work their way up to a damn thing. They were the ones who were chosen. That's the way it's always been. It's just more blatant now. And you're talking about selling their souls, brother. They ain't got a soul to sell. That's the big delusion of it. They don't even have a soul to sell anymore.
Yes, indeed. Because a lot of these jokers have been available and been around for a good deal of time. But I just want to tell you, thank you. Look, I appreciate everything.
No, brother, look here. Do you know how many rappers, I've talked to folks, it's in my documentary film. Do you know how many rappers have signed away their damn birthrights for a gold chain, signed away their birthrights for a car, Cadillac Records? What do you think it was called that for? Brother, niggas come cheap. I want y'all to understand that. It's not a big high price tag, dude. You got folks who sold their damn souls for a car, for a BMW, for a ring, for a set of earrings, signed away their publishing. Hit songs, signed away their publishing because, oh, let me get a check or $1 million. Can you get this house over here? It's like, yeah, we'll buy this house over here. You hand me your publishing. And you can have the keys to this house over here. And you're going to lose it because you can't pay the property taxes. But enjoy it for the year that you're here. So that's the way it's always been, brother. The folk they bring out today, they making y'all think there's something expensive. They got bought cheap, man. They got bought cheap. The outfits are rented. The cars are rented. The earrings, the jewelry is rented. They got it for one damn night. They get out there, swing their butt cheeks, and then when it's over, that's it. But brother, they was already bought and paid for. There's a receipt for every one of them. That's the dirty little secret. My folk who live in Los Angeles, y'all, for every female who gets a record deal, there are 100. There's 100 of them who've been turning tricks all over the damn place and didn't get nothing. My people up there in New York City, Atlanta, LA, Miami, the clubs are filled with strippers and would-be rappers, man. You can go on social media. You can go on TikTok. You can go on Instagram. Cardi B was the one who got a record deal. For every Cardi B, there's 100 hoes ain't got nothing except rug burns. They've been set out. They done did some stuff that Cardi B would have never imagined doing with a number of men in the room at the same time. Cardi B never would have imagined. That's a way of life in Miami. That's a way of life in Los Angeles. That's a way of life in New York. My folk who live in them places, the rest of the country don't know that that's the get down. This is all new to them. They don't know what it's like to have a stripper. She walk in the room and there's 4 different damn dudes up in there from the record label. My folks who don't live in New York and Atlanta and Miami and LA, they don't know nothing about that. They don't know how many of you have people in your families, friends, folk you went to school with chasing an audition, those endless auditions. They don't know nothing about that. They have no idea what the reality is of Los Angeles. They don't know what people are actually doing out there. I'm not talking about the pornography business. I'm not talking about the triple X-rated business. I'm talking about Disney with their child sex scandals. I'm talking about Paramount. I'm talking about Sony Columbia. I'm talking about that. I'm not talking about Hustler and Vivid Pictures. I'm talking about the mega studios that you know. Harvey Weinstein did not work for Playboy and Hustler. And he was just the one that got sent to jail. It's only been one. How you got all these females set out there and Harvey's the only one been to jail? It's a way of life in those places, and people don't know that that's what's really going on. The folks in Los Angeles, y'all see people chasing record deals. Nobody wants their daughters doing it because they know, baby, you ain't gonna do nothing except get run through. In Los Angeles, your daughter is going to get slept with about 50 or 60 dudes, and I'm not exaggerating that number. It's going to be 4 or 5 dozen going to get a crack at her chasing a record deal. She's going to have every STD known to man chasing a record deal. They going to gas her head up and tell, oh, baby, you got plenty of talent. Here, come on back here in this room with us right quick. And if she ever does get signed, it'll be a bad deal to begin with, and it won't be very long. But it's a way of life in those places, man. It's a way of life. By the time they get done with her, that's it. She's bought and paid for, man. She bought and paid for. Folks who don't, California's just way out there by itself away from the rest of the state. So that's why a lot of folk don't know about that. I'm not going to include Las Vegas, but everybody should know about Las Vegas. But all of y'all out there who got family members chasing an audition, chasing a movie career, soap operas, music, hell, sports, y'all know what happens. Call him. Let me go ahead and get Michael. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Michael here on Zoom. Michael, go ahead and turn your camera on for me. I'll give you 5 seconds to go ahead and get that taken care of for me here. So I'm not going to put you up for everybody else to see you, but I need to make sure we got you on here so we don't have any trolling issues. That's all we ask. All right, Michael, what's on your mind?
I heard you talking about people leaving if Kamala wins, but I'm thinking like to go where, to do what, with whom. Now, when it comes to this voting, ever since this Andrew Gillum, Clyburn, and John Lewis, I'm turned off from American politics, and I'm just not, I'm not down with the process anymore. But what I called to talk to you about was they're saying that BRICS is going to be backed by the dollar. Well, backed by gold. Well, the United States has gold holdings. Can they back the dollar with gold and still make the dollar worth something, or is there a problem with that?
Okay, well, remember, even value is, all currency is fiat currency. Let's be clear about that. Even if you have gold, you can't eat gold. You can't sleep with it. You can't wear it. So it doesn't have a value outside of itself. So the reality is people don't understand how economics works. All currency is fiat. This idea that your paper currency is, quote, backed by something, that's fiat economic theory. People don't actually understand. They kind of just are saying things. BRICS is never going to overtake the dollar as the world's reserve currency. What BRICS will at best be is an alternative. but there isn't anybody in the major financial centers and sectors trying to make that their thing. That's not going to occur. Furthermore, I explained this here before, but I'll go ahead and do this for about the 10th time here. There's a reason why we left those standards. It's because if you have something backed by gold or diamonds or whatever, then you've automatically limited the size of your economy. Your economy can only be as big as much gold as you have. Well, here's the issue. In America, if you have a $250 trillion economy, but you can only get your hands on $10 trillion worth of gold, well, that's going to be as big as your economy can get, because you're artificially constraining it to this gold. If, however, in a fiat currency, you say our currency is not backed by gold, it's backed by our nation, all of our assets, all of our resources, whatever you consider our value to be. Well, that's multiples more than the gold that's in the ground. Remember, there's a limited amount of gold in the ground. There's a limited amount of silver. There's a limited amount of diamonds. Your nation's value could very well exceed those. Think about intellectual property alone. So that's the reason why the world, not just America, the world, China and everyone else, that's the reason that they don't go by that metric either.
Well, getting back to this voting thing, Clyburn has been in power for like 30 years. And I heard, I'm not sure if this is true, that his district has always been, during his tenure, amongst the poorest in, I think it's South Carolina. And I mean, wouldn't he be considered a failure after being 30 years and you're not doing anything for your constituency?
I mean, look, they just made a statue of what's his name. I got my ass beat on every piece of bread. You know, so like I say, I mean, look, people are going to have to be tired of getting their asses whooped. They're going to have to be tired of being at the bottom. You go down to Charleston, South Carolina, you know, Charleston is booming. As soon as you get off the freeway, right at the foot of the exits, they got luxury apartments they're building on either side of the exit when you're getting off the freeway there. Going up Market Street, going up the old slave quarters there, their little old French Quarter and whatnot. Try again. But it looks like San Francisco walking around some of those places. Harbor Inn, that now you can't really call it the Harbor Inn anymore because they're building this big Lowe's resort, which blocks everything. That's like $1 billion development they're building there, which should have been open this year and is probably not going to be open until next year. And what I'm saying is, by the way, yeah, we can say that, but there's plenty of money moving in Clyburn's area. There's plenty of money moving in South Carolina. The real thing is it's not moving for us. So we can give him 100 years. James Clyburn is doing what he's there to do. He is the token bought and paid for house nigga. He sets up there and lets you know he don't give a damn what Democrat it is. That's where his bread is buttered on. His job is to deliver the black vote. And when the people of South Carolina, when the black folk of South Carolina get tired of being at the bottom of the barrel, maybe they'll go ahead and choose something different. But they're going to have to lose their taste for it first.
They haven't gotten tired of it. It's been like 30 years. I mean.
Well, don't worry. There's further to go. East St. Louis. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, no, don't worry. There's further for in the fall. Oh, they have not hit rock bottom yet. Trust me. There's further to go. Oh, it can definitely get worse. Let me go ahead and see if I can get iPhone up here. Let me find out here. Okay, iPhone. Working on here. iPhone is working on it. We're waiting for them to hook his audio up there for us. But yeah, they got a lot of work to do there in that regard. They're the ones who are going to get tired of that. All right, iPhone, what is your name?
There in that regard, they're the one. Okay. Hey, this is Daryl up out of Atlanta.
All right, Daryl out of Atlanta, what's on your mind?
Yeah, my question was, with the doubt that's surrounding Kamala, if she was to get in office, would you feel like she have a point to prove as far as exerting power?
I would believe that if I thought she was competent enough to do it. She doesn't have an agenda. Kamala Harris is a climber. That's all she's ever done. Her goal was to get into politics and go as high as she could, but she doesn't have a clue. Kamala Harris is whatever you want her to be. Take a look at how she's already started flip-flopping on the border, flip-flopping on economics. Oh, she literally stole Trump's idea about not taxing tips. Kamala Harris is whatever you want her to be. She's got only one ambition, which is a trophy ambition of being the first female president of the United States. And after that, she wants to go off with Doug and go do what Obama's doing on the French Riviera or whatever, because once you become president, you can exact a whole bunch of favors from people. And then that's it. She's going to be set. That was always the goal. And what you're witnessing right now is the culmination of 4 decades of work on her part to accomplish that goal. She doesn't have any policy positions. She doesn't have any core convictions. I dare you, show me one she stood by. She doesn't have any core convictions, only one, for herself. That's the only team she represents is herself. So no, when she gets into office, the only point she's trying to prove is to whoever put her there to stay in her slot. Because remember, she knows how fragile her position is. She knows that if the media actually, what sank Joe Biden's presidency was the media actually talked about him for 48 hours. Not 48 days, 2 days. That was all they had to do, and it was over for him. Kamala Harris just watched them snatch Joe Biden after 5-6 decades in politics. Don't you know that she understands they could pull me tonight? If they send the word, I'm done tonight. I won't make it out of August. So she's going to do whatever it takes to prevent that from happening. Whatever it is they tell her to do. So my answer to your question is she doesn't have any policy positions. She doesn't have anything to prove except she can prevent, hopefully get them to not change their minds about letting her in the White House.
Okay. And you kind of already answered my second question is she going to be easily influenced once she do get into office? And you already answered that.
She is bought and paid for already, which, by the way, when you take a look at Joe Biden, yeah, we're very unhappy about the border. We're very unhappy about the white supremacists and whatnot. But when you saw that debate, that was the scariest thing for them because that was reality. You saw what everybody else now knows. He's not even there anymore. He's not even there anymore. So, yeah, he's in the president's office, but as far as what's happening at the border, you think he's making that decision? You saw that damn debate. He's not even here anymore. He's not even here. You'd have to remind him where the border is. First of all, you have to define what the border is, and then you have to remind him where it is. He's not there anymore. Okay, so who the hell been making all these decisions? Same folk there always are. Who was it who pulled him out of that damn thing? The money men. The Gateses, the Buffetts, the George Clooneys, all them Wall Street money men and the big power brokers and whatnot. Those are the guys calling the shots. Oh, I'll be damned. And those are the ones who want every illegal you can get. Bill Gates loves it. Michael Bloomberg loves it. Cheap labor for them to run their damn companies. Jeff Bezos. Anybody who lives in California at the Amazon warehouse has been seeing that for years and years. You in Atlanta, you probably gonna see it. You probably see it in Atlanta's warehouses for Amazon. That's their business model. If you want to, I pointed this out to you all before that the Amazon and Walmart all said, I pointed this out before in an article, they have all said that their ideal employee would work for the company for 3 years and then leave.
Oh, I thought it was 6 months so they don't get health insurance or anything, or benefits, anything
well,
like
I
that.
suppose in the new sadistic era, but Walmart, this is ideally, the ideal employee would work for them for 36 months and leave. They wouldn't stay there to get no pension. So when you think of that over, what you're saying is, well, you're going to exhaust the available labor pool in an area. I don't care what city you're in. You're going to exhaust the labor pool when you're running through employees every 36 months. How do you expect to keep your numbers where they are? You're either going to have to recycle people or you're going to have to bring in a new population from somewhere else. Well, you can see which one they chose. Bill Gates wants to keep Microsoft going. Bring in as many illegals from India as you can. Can they code a computer? Bring them on in. Citizenship, damn that. And then the other thing is, by the way, Bill Gates cheating on his wife. Jeff Bezos cheating on his wife. Neither one of them can even keep a secret. You want to talk about degeneracy? You want to talk about character? You want to talk about principles? You want to talk about personal morals? Dude, their wives can't trust them. Their wives can't trust them. These fellas, these people are out for themselves. Joe Biden doesn't need to have a brain. We'll do the thinking for him. Kamala Harris, we don't need her to have a brain either. She won't be making any decisions when we get done either. We'll take care of all that. You just go out there and make a speech or something. We'll take care of all the policy decisions. And we'll send our image consultants and spin meisters to help you keep in politics. But yet we'll take care of the decision making. And that's what you see. Hell, Elon Musk is trying to get on the game. State of California bending over for him. State of Texas right behind them. That's who's running things. Not Joe Biden and not Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. I mean, it is what it is, y'all. You can see Joe Biden is out to lunch and ain't coming back. Who's making the decisions? It's not Kamala Harris. It's the people behind her. This election cycle has revealed a whole lot. When George Clooney stood up, I told you all, that's it right there. He's the representative of the money men. When I saw that, I was like, Joe Biden is not going to leave that race. And then George Clooney came out. I'm like, George, you got to be in this to win this. How are you going to do this? You're just one Hollywood celebrity. And I said, no. Can't just be him. He's not by himself. He's the representative of the other people. He's not running for office, and he doesn't have to do anything. He's representing way bigger people. When George spoke, he's like, I'm speaking for them. When I saw that, I said, now Biden's in trouble. They're literally gonna tell me, we're turning off the money tonight, not next year, tonight. You won't make it out of July. We're turning off the money now. We're turning it off now. When I saw that occur, just understand that's who's running this damn thing. All right, let me go ahead and see if I can get OJ up here on Zoom. Okay, OJ, I'm going to give you 5 seconds here to go ahead and turn the light on for me here. We can't see nothing. I won't put you out there for the rest of the world, but I do need to go ahead and get a light on for us here so we can make sure we don't have any trolling issues. All right, OJ, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to get a camera on for me here, OJ. If you don't have a camera on in 5 seconds and a light on in 5 seconds, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next person. We can't wait around all night here, so waiting for OJ to get his act together. There you go, OJ. All right. No jacket, no shirt required. Okay, OJ, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so just real quick. So
why do you look like a shirtless Gerald Levert? Anyway, go ahead, OJ.
So remember, it was 4 years during the last election. I remember you guys doing a broadcast how I guess Biden and Kamala low key like stole the election a little bit, whatever. You think that the same thing will happen again?
It can.
And but
if it does, Trump allowed it. If he didn't learn anything from 2020 about how to improve what he's doing and how to not run a stupid race, his selection of J.D. Vance shows you he didn't learn a damn thing from 2020. Not a thing. Nothing at all.
Okay.
What he's counting on is Kamala Harris to make bigger mistakes than him. That's what he's counting on. And by the way, it can certainly happen. I told everybody after Joe Biden messed all over himself after the debate, I told people the election's effectively over, but I said don't discount Donald Trump's ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, because he's proven he can and he will. Now I'll be damned if he didn't turn right around and do it. Kamala Harris might be sitting in the catbird seat right now, but 45 days ago, she was the most unpopular politician in America. Please do not think that 2 months is not more than enough time for her to squander her lead too. So it can happen, but that's a hell of a position to be in, that you're hoping that your opponent makes mistakes. Not that you do a good job, you're hoping your opponent does a bad one.
Yeah, because I feel like there's a whole media blitz, and I'm kind of like just worried. I'm like, man, there's going like extra hard to like get this woman in office. So I'm kind of wondering they're gonna do by any means necessary to make it happen. So that's really where my thought was coming from.
If they can get away with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep your eyes and ears open. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Tara here on Zoom. Let me see if I can get Tara. All right, Tara, let me go ahead and get a thing on here for me. Okay, Tara was on. She turned it off. She must have hit the wrong button for her OnlyFans. She must have thought she was hitting the button for one of her OnlyFans. One of her OnlyFans fans was calling her up and was like, she hit the wrong one. Oh, wait a minute. You're not Sweet Billy Ray. All right. No, I'm Jason Black, man. Thank you. Folks, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be catatonic. Don't be scared. But do be aware. Do be aware. And Kamala Harris, what they're showing you is that she's losing altitude already. They don't think that what else do they have to look forward to except a debate. And what they're acknowledging is that her refusal to speak and to handle questions makes people feel very unsure and very uneasy about what's going to happen when she's standing on the debate floor with Donald Trump, who this is his third rodeo. Donald Trump has had 3 times of participating in presidential debates now. Not once, not twice, 3 times. This is his third trip around the world. This will be her first. And the media is afraid because you've had to hide her and she isn't taking any questions, and they're not sure if she can handle the pressure. They're not sure if she's going to be able to not squander this opportunity. They're not certain she can. They're very worried that the first time she walks out there, all of her warts are going to be exposed. They're very concerned because Trump is taking a whole bunch of questions. He's taking anybody who wants to speak to him. He's taking all comers. He's not dodging anything. That's giving him more experience. Kamala Harris wants to make a speech and then be protected and shielded. What's going to happen your very first time that you're not shielded? You're going to sit up there and babble about joy for 2 hours? You think if you sit there and ramble about joy and peace and happiness, and you think that's going to carry you? And these folks are worried. They are worried about her. And they should be. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD and streaming, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank everyone who has contributed for tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, to Joyce, Ray, RCD, JCaz, everybody else here. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in live or recorded. Thank you to everyone for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.